All right, welcome back. So during this lecture, we are going to talk about selection statements, couple of other types. Especially, we'll focus on the switch case statement, where we have multiple choices, out of which we'll be selecting maybe one or more. Okay. So first, we'll look at the basic, scenario where we have to use this type of a statement, and then we'll go into the syntax of it, and then what's the structure of a switch case statement, and then we'll get few examples to illustrate the usage of a switch case statement. Right. So first of all, then, so why do we need to have a switch case statement? We need to have a switch case statement mainly because there will be situations where we have multiple conditions, out of which we need to select maybe one or more. Okay, so think about a situation where we have a program, we need to enter a number between 1 and 7, and then so based on the number that we entered, so we need to display the message today's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so on and so forth. So depending on the number that user is entered, right? So if number 1 is entered, so we'll be displaying the message today's Monday. If 2 is entered, so we need to display the message today's Tuesday, and so on and so forth. Right. Now, when you're writing these constructs in C++, we can use some of the things that we already know. Perhaps we can use the if statement and maybe if else statement. Right. But if you use the if statement, so this is how the program structure would look like. So we can check if the day is 1. And then we can display the message today is Monday. Now, if the day is 2, we can display the message today is Tuesday. If the day is 3, we can display the message today is Wednesday, and so on and so forth. Then we can write down 7 such if statement. Right. Now, this type of programming is actually not very efficient. So it's very inefficient. So why it is inefficient? So suppose somebody enter number 7. If somebody entered number 7, so that comparison will actually go into 1, 2, 3 and up to 7, and then 7th one will be the match, and then we display the message today is Sunday. Okay. If somebody entered let's say 1, so in that case, so we will be going into this if statement to begin with, and then display the message today is Monday. But we never said actually in this code that don't go to case 2, 3 and so on and so forth if 1 is true. So irrespective of the number that user entered, so we will be doing 7 comparisons, right? So out of these 7 comparisons, so only 1 will be true. So therefore we'll be doing so many different comparisons that are unnecessary in this scenario. So therefore additional computations. So computations point of view, so this code is pretty inefficient, right? Now, how we can make it efficient? So we can make efficient by adding if else condition, where we can say, let's say if day 1 is true, so we display the message today is Monday, and then we can say go to case 2 if the first one is not true. So in that scenario, so we can avoid executing so many different combinations of if conditions. So however, still this is not very efficient. So suppose user entered 7. If user enters 7, so in that case then, so this will be false. So therefore we are getting into the else case of that one. So this will also be false. So therefore we are getting into the else of that one, and then this will also be false. So then likewise we'll get into the 7th condition check. So therefore we will be doing again 7 comparisons if user enter 7 in here. So also another issue here is actually, now if we write this kind of a statement, so this is called a nested if else statement, right? In a nested if else statement like this, so if we have so many different if else conditions like this, the code becomes very unreadable all of a sudden, because these conditions, when you put together a lot of statements, so code is pretty like jargon, as everything is together. So therefore code becomes unreadable. So from readability point of view as well as the efficiency point of view, so this type of a code is also not desirable. So we might try to do a better job. Now what we can do the best is actually, so if there's a way we can take the number, so let's say the day, okay, and then based on the day, so if you can switch into the appropriate case, like let's say case day 1, case day 2, case day 3, and so on and so forth, and then execute that case and then get out from the switch case statement. So in that way the logic pretty much goes only one path. So that will make our program much more efficient as well as better readable. Now in order for us to accomplish this type of a scenario, so we can put this box into a switch, and then we can put these things into different cases. All right, so then we can write a switch case statement that can accommodate this type of computation. All right, so let's look at the syntax of the switch case statement and then see how we can compose this type of a statement. Right now, when you have a switch case, then so we have the switch keyword. So based on the expression that we evaluate here, we will getting into different cases. All right, so case maybe value 1, value 2, value 3, and so on and so forth. So these values are the output of this particular expression. All right, now this expression can be an integer value, or maybe a Boolean value, or maybe a character. So it has to be integral data type, so either character, integer, character, or a Boolean type. All right, so we'll get a few examples shortly and see how we can compose something like this. Now if you try to draw the flow chart of this one to capture the logic of a switch case statement, so this is how it looks like. So here we have the switch. All right, so based on the switch in here, so we'll be going into different cases. All right, so let's say this is case value 1, right, and then this might be case value 2. Okay, so now in here, then so once you're getting into these cases, so what you do is based on the value that we entered here, like let's say 1, so we go into the appropriate case and execute this case and then get out from the switch case statement, start executing rest of the statements in the program. So therefore in a switch case statement, so we have this type of a scenario where we can go into the appropriate case directly or switch into the appropriate case directly and then get out from it to perform the rest of the operations in the program. So that will make this program much more nicer and easier to debug as well as see what is happening inside this program. All right, so let's get few examples of a switch case statement and then see how we can write such a statement. Right now, first of all, so let's use an integer variable to control the behavior of the switch case statement by implementing our day example. Right now for this program, then so we'll be getting day as the input, so value of the day. Now then we construct the switch case statement based on that control variable. So therefore day is the switch case control variable. Now based on the day value, if the case is 1, that means that if the number that we entered for day equals to 1, so then we'll be going into this particular case and then we're going to display the message today is Monday. And now with this break statement, so we are saying so we are done executing the code. So then we'll be getting out from the program. At this point we'll see the return 0, so then we are done with it. All right, so therefore if you enter 1, so we come here, execute these statements, so with the break, so we get out from the switch case statement. Right now suppose user entered something like 6. Right now if the user input is 6, so then we'll be directly jumping into case 6 and then execute the statement belongs to 6, and then today's Saturday will be displayed, and then with the break statement, so we'll be getting out from the program. Right, so this is much nicer construct. All right, now suppose somebody entered a value that is not in one of these cases, so something like let's say 15. Right, if somebody enter a value 15, so value 15 is not taken care of by these cases, so then that will actually lead the switch case statement into the default case. Right now default case is essentially taking care of any value which is not covered by these cases. Right, so then this will go into the default case and then display an invalid number, and then get out from the program, because there are no other cases in here. So therefore by default, so this will go into the return statement after that, right? Usually we put the default statement as a last statement in the switch case. So therefore after executing it, so nothing will essentially happen in here. Okay. All right, so that's an example that uses an integer value. So let's take another example that uses a character value as a switch case control statement, right? Now in here, so let's say we are reading a character from the keyboard. So that character is essentially an arithmetic operation. So depending on the character value that we enter, we are going to display the message which operation is to be performed. All right. So now in here again, so if let's say the input is the multiplication symbol, so then this will have the multiplication symbol and then go into the case that take care of the multiplication, and then display the message multiplication is performed, and with the break statement, so we'll get out from it, right? So likewise, what is the output of the program? The input is the mod operator. So then in that case, so we'll be going into this case, so display this message and then get out from the case, right? So now if the dollar sign was entered, so dollar sign is not taken care of by any of these values. So therefore we'll be going into the default case. This message will be displayed and then get out from it. All right. Okay. So that's how we can use a character related control statements to control the behavior of the switch case statement, right? So let's take one more example and then see how we can construct perhaps this if else nested if else statement to a switch case, and then compare and contrast the two versions, right? Now in here, so we are reading the mood of a person, let's say as an input as a number. If the mood is 1, so we are going to say play tennis. So if mood is 2, so we say play basketball. If mood is 3 or 4, we are going to say go and do swimming, otherwise watch a movie, right? Now if I want to convert this one into a switch case statement, so then these values are integers, so therefore the switch case control variable has to be an integer. All right. So then here we can write the switch case statement. So we switch based on the mood. All right. Now if the mood is 1, that means if mood case equals 1, right, and then we display the message cout play tennis, right? So now with this statement then, so we are done with the case, so therefore we need to have the break statement in here, right? So now if the case is 2, we are going to display the message play basketball, right? Okay. So then we have the break statement in here. Okay. Now case 3 or 4. Now in this case then, so we are combining two cases together. So in order for us to do that, so we can actually say case 3 and then do nothing for case 3, and then we can put case 4 also together with that. All right. So we see how this executes with some values in here. So then case 3 and 4 together, so we are going to display the message saying go swimming, right? All right. So now we need to have the break statement in here. Now any of these things are not the case, so then we say watch a movie. So essentially this is the default case, right? In the default case then, so we are going to display the message saying watch a movie, right? So that's end of the switch case statement. Okay. Now let's see how this works in terms of the operation. Now if somebody enter 1 for the mood, so then 1 will be entered in here, and then go to the case 1 and display the message play tennis. so in here, and then with the break statement, so we get out from it, right? Now if someone enter, let's say 3, so in that scenario, so what happens is, so we are going into case 3. Now in case 3 nothing happens, right? And then there's no break statement either. Since there is no break statement for case 3, so we'll be going into case 4 directly, right? So then in case 4 we are saying do swimming, and then we see a break statement. So since we see the break statement here, so we are going to get out from the switch case statement with this statement, right? So therefore I think we understand the usage of the break statement then. So break statement is essentially saying after doing the case, so get out from it. If you don't have the break statement, so the switch case statement automatically goes to the next case as well, okay? So suppose we have this scenario where case 1 does not have the break statement, right? If the case 1 does not have the break statement, and if the input is 1, so in that case then, so we will be going into case 1 and then displaying the message play tennis. So after doing that, so we don't see the break statement. So since there is no break statement here, so we'll automatically go to case 2 as well, right? And then we are going to display the message play basketball. Now after displaying the message, the next statement that we see is a break statement. So with that then, so we get out from it, all right? Now essentially then the break statement is absolutely needed in order for us to differentiate between different cases. However, if I want to combine multiple cases together, so then we can get rid of the break statement. So that's a classic example with case 3 and 4, where for both 3 and 4 we need to do the same thing. So therefore we can write both cases, but we can write down things that needs to be done for case 4 only, so by combining these two together, all right? So then this logic right here is combined, all logic is combined into something along this line in the switch case statement, right? Now when you look at the nested if else statement versus the switch case statement, I think the switch case statement is much more cleaner and also easier to see how the program works as well. So therefore it's a better construct. So if we can come up with a logic for the case using an integral value, that is either integers, characters, or a true false values, all right? So Boolean value, okay? Now it's time for us to do a checkpointing question and then see if we got the idea of the switch case statement properly.